Here's a tutorial on how to get your nails from looking like this, all small, chewed and bitten, to like this, all long, strong and pretty. Starting off, we're going to go through what you will need. So you will need some nail brushes. I got a range of sizes and these are all from Shein. I also got a nail drill from Amazon. This isn't essential but easier if you have it. I've got some acrylic powders from Glitterbels. These are the shades I use. You can use any acrylic powders from anywhere. I've also got a monomer from Glitterbels and a dehydrator and primer. Again, you don't need these. You can just use nail polish remover. I then just have some basic nail tips. These are all from Shein in a range of sizes, and I've also got this buff block from Glitterbels. Along with the buff block, I got my nail glue from Glitterbels, a little glass jar from Shein, and some nail tip clippers from Amazon. I also picked up these nail stickers from Shein. They have a huge range on there, and I also got a cuticle remover from Boots and some tools from Boots. So step one, we are measuring up the nails. So I'm taking a range of these nails from that big pot and I'm trying out different sizes. If they are slightly too big, we can buff them down using the buff block, and if you don't have a buff block, you can use a nail file instead. Once I've buffed these down, I'm then just measuring them up against my finger. Again, what you can use is that electric drill, which is a lot quicker, so if you have purchased that, you can use that, although a nail file and a buff block still work just as well. It might just take a little bit of extra time. Step two, and we are removing the cuticles. So this is an essential part. If you do want your nails to last as long as like 2, 3, 4 weeks, you must do this. So I do highly recommend picking up the Sally Hansen cuticle remover. I haven't tried other brands, but I know that this one works really well. I'm also using a cuticle push back tool and literally applying the cuticle remover, pushing it back. Any parts I'm scraping off that will come off. If they do not come off, use your nail scissors and literally just chop them off. Just make sure you remove as much of your nail cuticle as possible. You do not want it on your nail bed, as it is again going to lift the acrylics and make them last not as long. And I always do the fingers first and then finish off with the thumb. It's much easier rather than having the cuticle remover dripping down your thumb. So these are how my fingers are looking, much better, ready to prep the nails. Step 3, we're going to go in with our buff block and literally just scrape on top of the nails. You want it to be rough, as if it's smooth, it's going to like slip and slide and not hold the acrylic. So make sure you make the nail bed all nice and rough, ready to hold any acrylic. Then going in with my dehydrator. If you don't have this, literally just use a nail polish remover. It's almost the same thing. I'm literally just applying this all over the tops of the nails. This removes any moisture and makes sure that, again, nothing slips and slides about. I'm then going in with my primer. This isn't essential, and to be honest, it's not my favourite sort of step. Now it is time for step 4, and we are going to attach the nails. So going in with my nail glue, and I'm putting a really generous amount just on the bottom of the nail. You then want to apply this from your natural nail upwards. If you bite your nails like me, literally just go from the top almost of your nails, maybe a centimetre if so down, and then apply it on. You do want to apply a nice bit of pressure just to make sure that it stays on, and I normally apply the pressure for maybe 15 to 20 seconds. Another tip that I would give is make sure that they go on straight, so make sure you've got a really good view of where you are applying the nail. If you get any glue stuck underneath the nail, just go in with your tool and scrape it off, and then this is how they are looking. Now you want to blend the natural nail in with the false nail, so going back in with my buff block or nail file, scraping over the top to edge this out. You can also go in with the nail drill. This is a lot better, a lot quicker, but it can hurt a little bit more if you get it on your natural nail, so just be careful if you are going to do this, but this is a great way of just edging the nail out. I've then just chopped them down to the length that I prefer and going back in with the nail drill and shaping around the outside, as at the minute they're very square and I do prefer something a little bit more rounded. So I'm just doing this to make sure that they're not as sharp and a little bit more delicate on the outsides. And then this is how they are looking. I'm then just going to dust off any dust that may be left on the nails. And step 5, we are on to the acrylic. So I've just filled the jar halfway up with the monomer. I'm then taking a little bit of the acrylic. So I make the brush literally soaking wet. I do 3 dots in the powder, and then I'm just going to start to apply that ball onto the nail. I normally start about 3/4 on the way in, sort of down to the root of the nail, and then blend it upwards towards the end of the nail. So I just keep going in, and then again I'm doing the same on the middle nail, so I'm doing 3 dots going along, and you sort of want to make the size of the ball fit the nail. So this nail is slightly bigger, so I went slightly bigger with the ball, so I'm just sort of blending that in again. As you can see, always going in sort of a downwards motion or bringing it out to the side. You don't want to end up brushing it up and down in different motions. It's going to look really uneven and a little bit funny. You can also just dip the brush in the monomer with nothing on and sort of even it out, especially around the edges of the nail. It just makes it look a lot more smooth. So I'm just repeating this on all the nails. I definitely keep the brush on the more wet side as it keeps it a little bit wetter for longer, so you've got a bit more time to play around with the acrylic before it dries. It's just a lot easier. And then obviously my biggest tip is make sure that the size of the ball fits the nail. So I made this ball a lot smaller as it is just for my little finger. If it's too much and it's too big, it's going to go really chunky and clunky and be really awkward to sort of place down. So keep the size relevant to the size of your finger. Once I've done all the nails, I'm going in with a slight little bit more. This is when they're dry, and I'm just applying a little bit where it may have gone a little bit thinner. So any patches that just need a little top up, I'm going in with very small amounts. I'm keeping the brush again slightly wet, but not too wet this time, and just ever so lightly going in, brushing through, really light-handed with this, as you don't want to be too heavy as the nail will go way too thick. Now we are on to the next step, which is step 6, and we're going in with a decoration. So this is a little bit of a cheat code here. You can do the decoration yourself with nail polish, however I am literally getting stickers from Shein. It just looks a lot more professional, it looks really artistic, and I've done minimal work, to be honest. So I'm going in, I found tweezers are easiest, so I would recommend, if you have a pair of tweezers, using this to apply them down, as it can be very fiddly. Once you're happy with your design, it's time to seal it in. So I'm going to go in again with glitterbels. This is in glass slippers, so this is a literal clear acrylic. You can get these from different brands, so if you're using a different brand, that's absolutely fine. And I'm literally repeating the exact same process as before, so having the brush wet, applying the same amount of acrylic to fit the size of the finger. So you're literally repeating what you did the first time round with the acrylic, but this time it is just clear. You can be a little bit more free with this as it is clear. It doesn't have to be as neat. The main thing I would say is that you really want to keep it smooth and even on the top if you can. So I have repeated this across all the nails, making sure it's a smooth, even coat. I am then going in with my buff block and just buffing around the top of the nail. If there's any bits that have sort of fallen off the edge, it just smooths them down. An optional step is to add a little bit of gloss. So this isn't particularly the most glossy top coat from Glitterbels, so I'm going in with my Sally Hansen top coat because I do like my nails to be more shiny. Again, this is optional, this is just something I prefer. And then here is the result. So once they've dried down, this is your nails. They will literally last you like up to a month, and they're just so pretty and really easy to do at home.